I have always been insecure about my story, about my conversion story. I never really wanted people to hear it. I was ashamed, I was insecure. I had done a lot of things and I wasn't proud of. And I didn't want people, especially the people that I loved, to know what I had done. And I just suppressed it and kept it inside of me and never really got it out until recently. And so I wanted to just really use my story to help people, but I just never knew how until now. When I was going into 6th grade, my brother was involved in a very serious car accident. He got a brain injury. I remember the first day that I saw him, I walked into the room and I didn't recognize my brother. I didn't recognize him. I didn't know who he was, his face. He was hooked up to all these machines, and it was overwhelming. And I remember just breaking down to my knees and crying my eyes out. I didn't want to believe it. It couldn't be that guy sitting there with all those machines and all these tubes hooked up to him. It couldn't just be my brother. It just couldn't be my brother. And on my birthday came around and they told us he was going to die. He was not going to make it past the weekend. And it was a feeling that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. My heart just dropped, below below the floor. I dropped, and it was hard. And so we began to pray, me and my family and whoever else wanted to, pray on the hour, every single hour, for God to save my brother. And for God's will. And if he was going to die, he was going to die. If he was going to live, he's going to live. And so God saved my brother, and he's alive, thank God, today. And so he was released from the hospital, going to therapy. And we just kind of forgot about God after that. I didn't really, after that, praise God for all that he did for saving my brother, because I also felt like he was the one that put Manny through that. And so I didn't want to thank him for putting my family through that. And so, after that, I didn't, it kind of, the feeling spiritual high went away. And then, a year later, a friend of mine was taken away from me unexpectedly, violently, and I had never really gone through anything like that. I never really had anyone taken away from me so suddenly, and it was hard. It was hard, to say the least. I was very upset. It was very like, how can this happen to me? Why is this happening to me? Why me? And after that, I really fell into a depression, really deep, dark place, and I was drinking a lot. I was doing things that a 7th grader should not be doing, and I was going places that I should not be going. I was cursing. I was leading the double life. I was at home one person, and then at school another person, and at church another person, and the triple life, really. And I was lost, and I was really depressed, and I was cutting myself on my legs so people wouldn't see. And I was suicidal thinking. I was ready to end my life. I remember sitting on the floor in my kitchen with a bottle of painkillers in my hand, and I screaming and crying out to God that I just didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to feel this pain. I didn't want to feel this sorrow. I couldn't believe that God would want one of his children to go through this pain. It couldn't be, and the only way that I could stop it was if I ended my life. And I was sad to say it, really. And I can't believe that I had to put my parents through that. For them to almost lose another one of their children when they almost lost, their firstborn. They almost lost my brother, and I was going to make them go through losing me again. Make them lose another one? How could I do that? And after that, I was still really living my own life. I just didn't care. Therapy didn't help. Nothing really helped. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to be with anyone. I just kind of wanted to be alone. And most of you know, and as most of my friends know, I am such a happy and joyful person. But as happy and loud and crazy and as joyful as I am now, is as sad and quiet and reserved and depressed I was then. And finally, I decided to study the Bible, and I just wanted to see what it was like, what I could do, what God wanted me to do, discipleship, and what all that meant. And I got chickened out, I did chicken out. I didn't want to really be open about my life. I didn't want to be open about cutting myself. I didn't want to be open about a lot of things that had gone on in my life, and I was ashamed and I was insecure, and God told me, if you want to be my disciple, you have to be open. You have to be open to sharing your life. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. And so I backed away from my studies, and that was pretty much it. And then a while later, I went to a baptism. Of a brother by the name of Michael Dardis. And I don't know why, I had been to so many baptisms, but I don't know why this one stuck with me. I just went, and he came up out of the water, and his mom and his dad, and his whole family, and all our brothers and sisters and people from church, they were just so happy. They were so happy. They were genuinely happy. They had joy in their eyes that, came from the heart. It didn't just happen. It was true, genuine happiness. And I wanted that so bad, because I had been feeling this pain and this sorrow, and I was the one there, fake, with a fake smile. Yes, I'm so excited for you, Michael. I was just like, yeah, but in my heart, really, I was like, why don't I have this? I want this so bad. And so I started to study the Bible again, and I was baptized, 3 years ago today, October 4th, I was baptized. October 4th, 2009, at 5:06 p.m., I was baptized. It was the best day of my life. And then still I had never really truly been open, truly never really shared my whole story until teen camp, my very first and last teen camp, with a guy by the name of Trey. He is my best friend and my brother, and I shared my entire life story with him, and he was baptized. And my best friend and my sister Rachel, I shared my life with her, and she was baptized. And God was telling me right then, after 2.5 years, Maryah, your life, your story is not for nothing. I didn't bring you out of those things for nothing. It was to help people. It was to bring people to me. And that's what your purpose is. Your purpose is to help others. And I had been taking that for granted. I had been keeping this story to myself. I hadn't been sharing it with other people. I had been insecure and ashamed and prideful, and keeping it into myself, what God had done for me, what God has brought me out of. And I realized how selfish I was. And I had to, come to the light about that. And being a disciple, people need to understand that being a disciple doesn't make your problems go away. In fact, it probably makes your problems even, more intense, because, Satan is always attacking, always prowling around, and he attacks the strongest. He knows your weaknesses, and he takes that hold on you, and he uses those things to destroy you. But if God is for us, who can be against us? And that has made my life different. It has made me happy. It has made me joyful. And it's made me the person that I am today, because God has saved me. And another thing is that it's not boring on this side. I mean, come to the light side. It is not boring. It's a lot of fun. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I am not boring. I am very far from boring. And I love my life, and I have nothing to complain about, because God has saved me, and God has made me the person I am, and that's the person who I want to be. And I want to be happy, and I want to be joyful. I don't want to be sad, and I don't want to be cutting myself anymore, and I don't want to do any of those things anymore, because God doesn't want me to do that. God doesn't want me to be happy. I mean, He doesn't want me to be sad. He wants me to be happy. He wants me to go and make disciples. And so that's what I'm going to do. That's my mission. And I'm going to do it. And I hope that this story, my story, can help you. And if you're watching this, that you go and look up I Am Second videos. And just cry and say, I want to change my life. Because this is just one of many stories out there of people who have been brought up from so much more than I've gone through. And I'm grateful, and I'm happy, and you deserve to be happy. Whoever you're watching this, you deserve it. You deserve it. Don't let anyone tell you any differently. And the only way to really find that true happiness is not through drugs or alcohol. Trust me, because I know I've been there. It's not through cutting yourself or taking your life. Please don't do that. God doesn't want you to do that. He made you for a reason, and it wasn't because He wanted you to take your life. It was because He loves you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made in God's image. So you automatically are beautiful. Not just your mom thinks so, Hello. God thinks so. My name is Maryah Elizabeth Hernandez, and I am second.